Hello, boys and girls. It's Auntie Jill coming to you from my neighborhood. But look, I'm kind of in a different neighborhood, aren't I? I'm sort of in a neighborhood that you all know. Where am I? Oh my gosh, I'm in the choir room. Do you remember this room? Oh my gosh, we have so much fun in here, don't we? And look, there's our board. Remember the board where I would write up all the lyrics and dynamics and musical terms that we were learning? Remember that? That feels like moons ago, doesn't it? But if you'll check this out, guys, look over here where our hospitality station is, and look what's up against the wall. Do you see that? Do you know what that is? Right, that's parts of the piano. Well, guess what? During these Corona days, you know me, I've always got to have a little project. And so we are working on the pianos in our church. For those of you that come at drive-up worship, we've been using the piano that used to be in our choir room, the Young Chang, and it is now living in the ministry center so that we can use it on Sunday mornings for our hymn singing and our special music. Many of you know about that too, right? But today I wanted to come to Martinsville and introduce you to a very dear friend of mine. He's a colleague and he is a wonderful musician, but Ben is also someone who refurbishes pianos. And I am just delighted to introduce you today to Ben Blozan, who is from Greensboro, North Carolina, and is refurbishing our piano that was in the sanctuary. And now it is in the choir room where he is doing all of his work. So I thought you would find this fascinating because this is something that sometimes has to happen to an instrument like the piano that was in our sanctuary to make it better and better and better. It's like wine. It improves with age. It's like Auntie Jill. So hold on, boys and girls. I'm going to flip you around and introduce you to Ben. And here is Ben.
Hello, boys and girls. And
Yes.
maybe some adults watching too.
That's right. Oh, we always have children, and we have children at heart.
That's right.
Yes, but folks, look at the choir room now. It is turned into a piano garage. Right?
A little bit of a mess.
A little bit of a mess. But this has been, and I think you're going to find this fascinating. So as you see, I'm bringing the video in a little closer. And this is the piano that was in our sanctuary that Ben is refurbishing. So I am going to come a little closer over on this side, and you can see what he's doing, and then he can talk about this little project. Because check this out, guys. Look at that. See, all the keys are out of the piano. And I will take you over to the table near my office to show you the keys and the action in just a moment. But you see, look at this. I think Ben is now in the process of restringing the piano.
That's right. I'm getting pretty close to done. You can see that I have strings through here, but this section right here doesn't have any strings on it yet.
Let me pull over that.
Yeah. So you can get a close-up on that.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
You see that?
So these are the pins that you tune a piano tuner tunes them by, and you can see there aren't any strings attached to that
Right.
yet. But that's what I'm doing.
But then there are strings that have been attached there. Check that out. And look at this, guys. Here are the bass strings.
They're big and fat, aren't they?
Yes. And what is that, copper?
It's copper. Copper wound around steel.
Interesting.
Really strong steel wire in the middle, and then copper to give it more mass.
To give it more mass, to make those bass tones thick. And see, so they've been attached down there, but they have not been attached up there. Isn't that amazing? See, and he cleaned the piano all out. Look how beautiful that is. Well, Ben, tell us a little bit about, let me back up again.
I just want to show you one more thing.
Oh, yes. Okay, fabulous.
See this new felt here?
Yes, you see the red felt?
You could say that I gave the piano new underwear.
Ooh, can you believe, kids? Oh my God, that's cool. The piano has new undies. Check it out. Yes. And why do you do that, Mr. Ben?
Well, it gives it a smooth surface for the strings to pass over. And I mean, that's why they have that material there anyway. It also keeps it from vibrating.
Right.
Let me see if I can, I think I threw away the old ones, but what happens is over time, the string, which is really strong, it cuts through the felt and it puts these deep grooves in it. So if you're ever replacing the strings, it's just a good idea to replace that as well. And
yeah.
It looks so nice.
I know, it looks so beautiful. It sure does. Well, Ben, how long have you been refurbishing pianos?
Well, it sort of crept into my life. I mean, for even when I'm recently 50.
Yeah!
But even when I was in my 20s, I started to take an interest in the mechanics of the piano.
Right.
And I made a good friend with the tuner at the school I was going to. And sometimes I owed him money, and he would have me work in his piano shop to pay him back. And back then, it was very simple jobs, things that even a beginner could do. But over time, my interest kept growing, and so did my skill. And I just kept working at it. I had my own piano that I worked on, and I was able to learn from my mistakes as well as my successes.
Oh, that's amazing. And so this is a new project for you. Ben lives, I think I might have mentioned this earlier, but Ben lives in Greensboro, North Carolina. That's where I got to meet Ben because I did my master's degree at the University of North Carolina, Greensboro. And Ben is also a wonderful pianist, but I was just delighted when I learned of his studio and was there one day working with him because Ben, of course, as you can imagine, is also a terrific pianist. But he was actually refurbishing a piano there, and I was so intrigued. And so when I told him about this project, he was very excited to do this for us. So why do you love to refurbish pianos, Ben?
I've always been the type of person who likes to take something that has fallen into disrepair. It might even be a house. And I just love the idea of that I can put some work into it and then it becomes nice again.
Yeah.
And pianos are great that way because boy, pianos can sound ugly, can't they?
Ooh.
I mean, maybe the boys and girls have heard some really out-of-tune pianos.
Yes.
But they can also sound so pretty. I'm
Yes.
sure that they've also listened to some piano music that just is really soothing to them, that they find really beautiful. And so a piano, just like a house, can be a really crummy instrument, but it also can be a fantastic instrument. And sometimes it's the very same piano that you can put work into, maybe some new parts, and it's just almost like a miracle the way it sounds different.
That's right. And what's really cool about this piano, kids, is this piano was bought in 1981. It is a Baldwin because Ben and I researched the serial number and when it was actually made. And the great thing about a piano is that as it ages, if it's able to keep its soundboard intact, and let me show you that. Ben can show you that. That's that beautiful wood, that big piece of wood there. If that can be intact, then as the piano ages, parts like the strings, the dampers, and the action, which I'll get ready to show you, if those sort of just get old and need to be exchanged, as long as the soul, let's call the soundboard the soul of the piano, right? Yep. As long as it stays intact, then we can refurbish an instrument like this and bring it. It's like it is reborn. Mm-hmm. It comes back to life and has a whole new beginning. And that's what Mr. Ben, Uncle Ben, is doing for us. So have you worked a lot on Baldwins Or is there a particular kind of piano that you like to work
Well,
on?
I grew up on a Baldwin. It wasn't a grand piano,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
me too.
But so I've always had a soft spot in my heart, and I happen to have a Baldwin at my shop right now that I'm working on as well.
Yes.
And it's neat to see because that's from 1959, so that's a pretty older piano. But it's kind of neat. It's been neat to see what has changed and what has stayed the same between these two pianos.
Yes. Yes.
And in terms of the pianos that I like to fix up, they tend to be American pianos.
Yeah.
Steinway, Baldwin, Chickering. But sort of like I mentioned earlier, the type of piano is somewhat important, but I also like a piano that I feel like has a good soul,
Yeah.
like you said. And so that I can put some work into it and it will have that miracle transformation.
There we go.
Yep.
Yeah, that miracle transformation.
So I tend to buy used pianos, fix them up, and then find good homes for them and give them like you said, a second life.
Yeah. Isn't that wonderful? Well, kids, let me bring you over and show you the action that's here on this table, and I'll have Ben talk a little bit about it.
Sure. Okay, so let me just ask you what you notice when you look at these hammers right here.
Let me bring you in
as I go
close.
from left to the right. Do you see this little baby hammer here? I may not be able to lift it right now, but there we go. That little baby hammer
Look at
compared
that.
to this one.
Look at that.
So you all are smart enough to know that you see that it's bigger on the left and it gets smaller as it goes to the right. And if you think back to those strings that you were just looking at,
Right.
remember the big bass strings were huge, big and fat, and so they would require a big hammer to set it into motion.
Right.
And then there are these teensy-weensy, very thin hammers at the very top to make the very high sound. And they only need a little hammer there.
Right.
Yep. So that's one thing to notice.
And see, then here are all the keys. See, isn't that amazing? That's what fits inside the piano.
Yeah, and it's completely removable, this whole thing.
Wow. Do that again.
It's a little heavy to carry down these steps. I
Yeah,
have to say.
wow.
It was about all I could do.
Wow.
Yeah, and
see, does the key play?
it not really. I actually don't have this attached. It's interesting, but if it were, you would see I would press this and this hammer would come up.
There you go. See how that works, guys? So see, it's not in the piano yet to where that action will happen, but that's how that works. Yep. Right? Mm-hmm. So those are all new felts, as we call them, right?
Yep, it's made out of wool from sheep.
Interesting.
Yep, and then it's put into this press that wraps it around that piece of wood.
Wow, look at that, guys.
Yep. And they wrap them all around a long piece of wood, and then they cut that whole piece into all the different 88 hammers. That's a good piano trivia fact to know, is that there are 88 keys on a piano.
That's exactly right. Remember that, kids, for when you're doing, yes.
Might be on a trivia question.
That's
later.
right, trivia questions, yes. But isn't that amazing? So again, see, he's been working on that. He put new felts on that. And then he will come over and install that when he's ready right in there. So see, he's got his little workbench there. See?
All my different tools.
All of Ben's different tools, and of course the phone.
Yeah.
We cannot be without our phone. And then that's what he's doing in that piano. So you've been working on this for about a month, right, Ben?
Mm-hmm. This is the fourth time I've come up here. And each time I've come up, I've worked pretty hard during those times, pretty long. And then I've also done some work back at my shop at home. And I've been sending you pictures.
That's right, because I'll include those at the end of our segment today, guys.
Yeah, so that's where I put the hammers on. That's where I did some sprucing up to the keys, and that's where I'm working on the dampers, which you mentioned earlier. And those are the things that stop the sound from happening.
Thus, they dampen the sound. So you have the hammer that strikes the string, and then you have the damper that dampens the string and stops that. So how much longer, Ben, do you think that this project is going to take?
Well, I think that I can get the rest of the piano strung today. That's my goal.
Awesome.
At least this part of it.
Awesome.
And it's going to allow me to come back tomorrow and start tightening things up and getting them in the right position. Once I get all of these set, then I can resume work on the bass strings, and you can see I have a little bit more to do on those.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
So,
yeah, and then once you get all of this complete, you kind of have to let the piano rest for a moment in its new skin, and then he'll be back to tune it over a series of weeks, right?
Yeah, and I'll have a lot of work to do to line up the hammers to the strings.
Yeah. So see, it's a process, kids. That's what's so beautiful about a project like this. And this is the perfect time for us to be spending on this work because there aren't a lot of people in the building. And while the renovation project is happening in the sanctuary, Ben can be doing this work in here on this piano.
It's going to be really exciting when everyone comes back.
Oh, it is.
Sees a new sanctuary and gets to hear this piano.
I know. As I keep saying to the kids, y'all, we gonna throw it down. We gonna have us a party, right? Well, Uncle Ben, thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
For taking some time and talking to our neighborhood of kids and adults and letting them know again about this wonderful project. And again, just to finish this out, there is the board. See where that says Baldwin right there? Yep. And then there is the lid. And then there is the music stand. So pretty soon, once Ben is totally finished with this project, I'll make sure that we'll come back in and you can see the finished project. So thank you so much, Ben.
You're very welcome.
And we'll talk to you soon.
All right, goodbye.
Bye, kids.